The citadel star floated like a jewel above a dying sun. It was the heart of the galaxy, a fortress of glass and steel, glowing with the light of 1,000,000 fires. And tonight, the galaxy waited dot inside the Grand Council Hall. Thousands of voices filled the air. Every major species had sent their leaders. The Dominion, with their scaled hides and golden crests, stood at one side of the chamber. The Thalkor, tall and pale with black crystal armor, stood at the other. The insectoid Zinari clicked their mandibles softly, their eyes like pools of mercury. For the first time in 5 centuries, they were all here for peace, not the war that would end tonight. For 200 years. The blood war burned across the stars. Worlds turned to ash. Fleets vanished in fire. Whole species vanished. The galaxy could not survive another century of this war. Tonight was the end. Tonight, the final treaty of the stars would be signed. One by one, the leaders walked to the center of the hall, their banners shining behind them. The Dominion signed first, their leader raising his claws in triumph. The Thalkor signed, their cold voices whispering of a new age. Even the Zinari, who had lost billions of their hive broods, etched their mark on the treaty. When the last alien leader returned to their seat, the chamber filled with thunderous applause. At last peace. Or so they thought. The empty chair, as the cheers faded, a question rose in the minds of many. Their eyes turned to the far end of the chamber, to a single chair carved of black steel. The Terran seat. Empty, dust gathering on its surface. 500 years ago, humanity had fought in the First Galactic War. They were fierce, brutal, and brilliant. They burned worlds and broke empires. They were a force of nature until they vanished. Some said Earth had died. Others claimed the humans had fled beyond the edge of the galaxy, broken and forgotten. No one knew the truth. And for 5 centuries, no one cared. The Dominion speaker rose, his voice a deep growl that echoed across the chamber. "And so the treaty is signed," he said. "At last the blood war ends. All powers stand united. All powers." He paused, his golden eyes sliding to the empty chair. Except one. The chamber rippled with laughter. The Thalkor envoy smiled thinly. "Do they even exist?" he asked, his voice dripping with mockery. "The humans?" Scoffed a Zinari delegate, his mandibles clacking. "Ghosts from a dead world. They left nothing but ashes." The Dominion speaker raised his claws. "Let the record show," he declared, "that the Terran Union, last known 5 centuries ago, has not responded. Their silence is their answer." More laughter followed. Someone whispered loudly, "They ran. They always run." Another voice, sharper, colder. "Their homeworld burned. They are dust now." The council sealed the treaty. The galaxy cheered. And yet, one question lingered, quiet as a shadow. What if the humans heard? The probe far from the Citadel star, beyond the gates and hyperlanes, a single drone sailed into the dead heart of Sol System. The council had ordered it to confirm what everyone believed, that Earth was nothing but ruin. The probe passed the broken husk of Mars, its cities long silent. It drifted through the asteroid belt, where old battle wrecks floated like bones. Then, Earth-blue oceans turned to gray dust. Continents cracked and burned. The once living world was now a corpse drifting in the dark. The probe scanned. No cities, no power, no life. It sent the data back to the council. They laughed when they saw it. "Proof," they said. "The humans are gone." But the probe did not stop. It circled lower, past shattered towers and seas of ash. Its sensors swept through ruins older than memory. And then movement. Something crawled from the shadows of a broken city. Something vast, something metal. The probe's cameras focused. For a breathless moment, the image froze. A symbol burned across a jagged plate of armor. The old Terran insignia. The probe transmitted one last frame before the signal went dark. A single word appeared on its feed, etched in glowing letters across a hall it should not exist. UNSC. And then silence. The transmission reached the Citadel star in the middle of the night dash cycle dot at first. The council technicians thought it was an error. The feed flickered with static, broken images of Earth's dead surface ruins, ash and ash. Cracked mountains. Then the last frame appeared, a shadow, metal, and a mark no one had seen for 500 years. UNSC. The laughing chamber of the council met again in the grand hall. Delegates filled the chamber, buzzing with curiosity. The probe's signal played in the air as a glowing projection, a ruined Earth. Then the thing crawling out of the dust. The Dominion speaker waved a claw dismissively. A machine, he said. Nothing more. Old debris moving in the wind. The Thal Corps envoy tilted his head, voice cold and sharp. That was no debris. It powered up. I saw the core light. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The Xenari delegate clicked his mandibles, his voice chittering. So? An old relic. It cannot harm us. But one voice broke through. The noise Admiral Serac of the Dominion fleet, his scales glowing faintly in the light. With respect, he growled. What was that symbol on its hull? The image froze on the insignia. UNSC. The room fell silent. Everyone knew that mark. The United Nations Space Command. Humanity's old war banner. The speaker sneered. Ghosts, he said. Nothing more. The humans are extinct. The Thal Corps envoy leaned forward, his pale eyes glowing. If they are extinct, he said softly, why does the machine move? No one answered. The council's decision fear moved through the chamber like smoke. The council had just signed the final treaty. A galaxy at peace. And now this a shadow from the past. The Dominion speaker slammed his claw on the table. We will not let this relic disrupt the treaty, he growled. Send a fleet, destroy it. Murmurs rose like a storm. A fleet for one machine? We cannot risk another war. What if there are more? The Thal Corps envoy's lips curled into a cruel smile. If humanity crawls back from the grave, we will burn them again. And so it was decided. A council expeditionary force would enter Sol System, 100 ships carrying the finest weapons of the galaxy. Their mission was simple: find the machine and erase it. The council broadcast the order to all networks. Humanity is gone. This is only debris. We act in the name of peace. But deep down, everyone felt it. Something was wrong. The silent. System 3 cycles later, the fleet reached Sol Dot. The black void swallowed their ships as they passed through the shattered gates. They sailed past the broken bones of stations and cities, drifting among dead stars. Earth appeared silent, gray, and cracked like an old skull. The Dominion flagship Graction sent out a message. Scanning complete. No biosigns. No energy signatures. The planet is dead. Relief rippled through the fleet. But then came the second scan. Admiral, there's something under the surface. The signal was faint. Deep beneath the ruins of old New York, something pulsed like a slow heartbeat. The Dominion Admiral frowned. Send drones. The first contact drones flew down through the dead sky. Their lights cut across shattered towers and oceans of ash dotted first. There was nothing. Silence. Then the ground moved. The ruins split apart as something vast crawled from the dust. Its hull gleamed with black alloy, scarred by 1,000 battles. Blue fire burned in its core, pulsing like a living heart. It was a ship. No bigger than a ship. A fortress with engines. Its cannons were dead. Its armor was cracked. But it was alive. On its side, half buried in ash, one name glowed through the dirt. UNSC Infinity. The drone sent the image back. The fleet watched. In silence. "Admiral," whispered the sensor officer, "that ship is huge." "How huge?" 30 kilometers. Maybe more. The Dominion admiral's crest rose in shock. "That's impossible." The Thal Corps commander's voice hissed through the com. "Destroy it now." The admiral hesitated, but then gave the order. The fleet fired. The awakening a storm of plasma and railfire rained down on Earth. Explosions ripped across the ruins, burning cities to molten glass. The fleet cheered as smoke swallowed the old warship. "Target eliminated," a Dominion captain reported. Then the smoke moved. No, the smoke burned away. The UNSC Infinity rose from the fire, its armor glowing like a newborn star. Lines of blue light crawled across its hull, brighter and brighter, until the void trembled with power. The Thal Corps commander screamed, "What is that energy reading?" No one answered. Every sensor went blind. The Infinity opened its hangars, and from the dark came smaller shapes. Hundreds of them. Old Terran warcraft repaired, reborn, and burning with the same blue fire. The Infinity spoke. A voice filled the void, deep and cold. "This is UNSC Infinity. Sol System Defense Protocol active. You were warned." The alien fleet froze. The admiral tried to speak, but the next instant, the void lit up like a second sun. The Infinity fired. The first kill one shot. That was all. A single beam of blue fire tore across the black sky, faster than light, hotter than stars. It struck the Thal Corps flagship and erased it. No explosion, no debris. Just nothing. The fleet screamed in panic. Ships scattered, engines roaring, weapons firing blind. But the Infinity moved like a predator, silent and slow. Its cannons woke one by one, spitting death that cracked the heavens. One by one, alien ships vanished in white fire. One by one, the voices on the com went silent. And through it all, the Infinity spoke only once more. "Leave Sol." Those who could flee fled. Those who COULDN single quotes T-burned out the last transmission, the Council received a final message from the expeditionary. "Fleet," a broken voice, screaming through static. "They're alive by the stars. They're alive." The galaxy had not seen fear like this in 1,000 years. Every channel burned with the same message. The humans are alive. At first, no one believed it. The Council called the rumors false, claiming the fleet in Sol was destroyed by an anomaly. But leaked transmissions told the truth. Images of blue fire tearing through warships. Voices screaming as entire fleets vanished. And that single phrase that froze blood in every vein. "This is UNSC Infinity. You were warned." The silence humanity gave for 5 centuries was over. The Council's emergency session. The Council met again in the Citadel Hall. The chamber shook with shouting voices. They killed 100 ships. With one ship, won. Impossible. Nothing survives 5 centuries in ruins. Then explain this. Holograms flickered in the air wreckage of the Council fleet, drifting. In the dark, fragments of shattered Dominion dreadnoughts. Cracked Thal Corps carriers, ripped open like paper. And at the center of it all, the silhouette of the Infinity, glowing like a god in fire. The Dominion speaker slammed his claws on the table. "This is war," he growled. "They broke the treaty. They murdered our fleets. They will burn." The Thal Corps envoy hissed. "And burn them fast," he said, "before they come for us." But the Xenari delegate spoke, his voice cold as ice. "And what if we cannot stop them?" The room froze. No one wanted to hear those words. No one wanted to believe it. "They have one ship," the speaker snarled. "We have 10,000. We will erase them." But deep in his voice, there was doubt. The hunt begins within days. The council unleashed its wrath. Armadas formed across every sector. Dominion dreadnoughts, Falkor war cruisers, Zainari hive ships, tens of thousands of vessels, united under one command. The order was clear. Enter Sol, destroy the relic, end humanity forever. They marched toward the dead system with fire in their hearts. But when they arrived, Sol was empty. Earth gone, Mars gone. The ruins, the relics, the infinity itself, all vanished without a trace. The council fleet scanned every orbit, every rock, every shadow. Nothing, only silence. Then the first outpost burned. The silent strike it happened on the edge of Dominion space, a mining world called Virik 7. No one expected an attack. The planet lay deep behind the front lines, safe and unguarded. The warning came as a flash in the night sky. A star falling where no star should be. Then the ground shook as fire rained from the heavens. Virik 7 died in minutes. Its surface turned to glass, its orbit shattered. The colony and its millions of workers vanished in a wave of white light. The Dominion sent a fleet to investigate. They found nothing, no enemy ships, no signatures. Only ash dot, but when they scanned deeper, they found something carved into the molten crust. A single line of words, glowing in heat. Peace was offered. War was chosen. The galaxy trembles it. Didn't stop. A week later, a Thalkor shipyard exploded in silence. No alarms, no warning. Just a ripple of blue light, and then nothing. 200 warships gone. 3 days after that, a Zainari hive moon cracked open like an egg, its core melting from within. Every soul inside dead. The council raged. They sent fleets to hunt the humans. They locked every gate, patrolled every lane. But it didn't matter. The attacks kept coming fast, precise, unstoppable. And always the same message, burned into wreckage or broadcast in dead voices. You were warned. The ghost fleet revealed Admiral Sirach of the Dominion sat in his war room, claws trembling. As he stared at the reports, 27 fleets lost, 9 sectors in flames, and they had not seen a single enemy ship except for the Infinity. How are they moving? He demanded. No gates, no lanes, how? His sensor chief whispered the word that would haunt the galaxy forever. Quantum drift. Sirach's eyes widened. That's a myth. So were the humans. The Terrans had built the impossible, a drive that let them slip between realities, striking anywhere, anytime. The council fleets were blind. They could not defend their worlds. They could not stop the killing, but the worst was yet to come. The transmission on. The 10th day, every screen in the galaxy flickered. From the smallest colony hub to the great halls of the Citadel Star, a single image burned through the void. A figure stood in shadow, armor black as night, eyes burning blue. Behind them, the silhouette of the Infinity loomed like a mountain. Of steel. The voice was cold, calm, human. You asked for peace. We gave silence. Now you will learn what war means. The image faded. The galaxy held its breath. The retaliation begins the next day. An entire Dominion sector went dark. 12 systems, gone without a sound. The Falkor lost their core shipyards in an hour. The Zainari lost 5 hive worlds before they could even send a distress call. The humans didn't conquer. They erased. Entire planets turned to molten glass. Fleets burned before they could even raise shields. The humans spoke no words, no demands. Only death followed in their wake. And still, no one understood how. How did a dead race rise from ashes? With weapons beyond physics? How did their silence turn into this storm of fire? The fear spreads on the Citadel Star. Panic consumed the council. Leaders screamed for answers, for plans, for hope, but there was none. One Thalkor admiral spoke the truth no one wanted to hear. "This is not a war," he said. "This is an execution." The Dominion speaker slammed his claws on the table. "Then we fight," he roared. "Every fleet, every ship, every world fight." But deep in his eyes, even he knew, the humans had become something else, something greater, something the galaxy could not stop, the hook for Part 4 far beyond the rim. In the dark between galaxies, a fleet moved in silence. Hundreds of ships, black as shadow, their hulls glowing with blue fire dot. At the center of the armada sailed the Infinity Reborn, repaired and hungering for war. Around it glided titans larger than any council dreadnoughts, their weapons pulsing with light that bent reality. And on the command deck, a human figure stood with cold eyes, watching the galaxy burn. Their voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Phase 2 begins." The stars trembled. The silence of 5 centuries had turned into the scream of war. And this time, there would be no survivors. The galaxy had seen wars before. It had seen empires fall, fleets burn, and stars collapse. But nothing was like this. The humans were not fighting for territory. They were not fighting for resources. They were erasing history. Every day brought new reports of destruction. A Dominion sector burned in silence. A Thal-core citadel split in two like glass. Cyanari hives vanished in waves of blue fire. No survivors, no messages, only silence. And then the words burned across wreckage, across the stars, across the shattered dreams of the council. Peace was offered. War was chosen. The citadel in Firin, the citadel star. The Grand Council chamber no longer echoed with arrogance. There was no laughter now, only whispers. Holograms filled the hall, dozens of sectors marked in black, gone from the map. Entire supply lines erased. Entire fleets missing. The Dominion speaker's voice shook as he slammed his claws on the table. "We are losing. Do you understand? Losing." The Thal-core envoy stood like a blade, pale eyes sharp with fury. "How do you lose to a dead race?" "How?" The Zainari delegate hissed, his mandibles clacking nervously. "Because they are not dead. They have become something else." The chamber fell silent at those words. Something else. The Dominion admiral rose, scales shimmering in the cold light. "We cannot keep chasing ghosts," he said. "We need to know what we face." And so the council made its decision, a desperate plan. They would send their greatest spies, their finest hunters, beyond the rim, into the dark where no gates reached. They would find humanity's base. They would find the heart of the storm. None of them would return. The Black Zone, 3 months later, a fleet of 50 stealth ships crossed the rim and entered the Black Zone, the void beyond mapped. Space, a region the ancients called the Deep Silence. They scanned for weeks. Empty stars, dead systems, no signals. No life, nothing. Until one day, they saw it. It began as a shadow on the edge of a dying sun. Then the shadow moved, and the void lit up with blue fire. The fleet stopped. They stared. A ship, no, a city. A fortress of steel, bigger than any world ship, glowing with lines of light like rivers of fire. And around it, others. Dozens, hundreds, an armada sleeping in the dark. Vessel was a titan, some the size of moons, some shaped like blades, some like black towers reaching for the stars. Their hulls shimmered with strange energy, bending the void around them. At the center of it all, the UNSC Infinity floated like a god. Its scars were gone. Its armor burned bright as a newborn star. The fleet of spies tried to run. They never made it. The signal that broke the galaxy. The council received the last transmission days later. A grainy image filled the chamber, hundreds of warships glowing with blue light, their shadows swallowing suns. Then came the voice, calm, human. You looked for us. Now we are coming to you. The transmission ended. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy knew real fear. The war machines of silence the humans had not hidden for 5 centuries. They had built. They had turned exile into evolution. They had taken the weapons of the old wars and broken every law of physics to forge something new. Quantum. Drift drives slip between realities, strike anywhere without warning. Eclipse cannons weapons that turn stars inside out. Graviton shields bending gravity to shatter enemy fire dot. And then there was Project Eclipse. No one knew what it was, only whispers. A weapon so powerful it could erase entire constellations. The Ghost Fleet was real. And now it was awake. The first wave it. The Ghost Fleet moved like a shadow across the stars. No gates, no warp trails, no signals. One moment, the sky was empty. The next, death stood above it. The humans had no mercy, no demands, no warnings except the 3 words that burned across shattered worlds. Phase 2 begins. And then the fires started. The first core world falls Thalcor Prime had stood for 10,000 years. The jewel of the Empire. A city world of glass towers and rivers of light, home to trillions. It died in 7 minutes. The sky burned first. Columns of blue fire lanced through the clouds, melting towers like wax. Oceans boiled. Mountains cracked. The planet's core ignited in a storm of white light. When the fire cleared, there was no world. No ashes. Nothing. Just empty space where a planet had been. The humans didn't just kill. They erased. The Thalcor Empire screamed in terror. They threw fleets into the void, sending every ship they owned to hunt the Ghost Fleet. None returned. Council in chaos. The Citadel Star had become a cage of fear. Delegates shouted, armies deserted, worlds demanded answers. The Dominion speaker slammed his claws on the table. They are exterminating us, world by world. The Thalcor envoy hissed, his pale eyes glowing with rage and terror. Then, fight harder. Every ship to the front. The Gionari delegate's mandibles clicked as his voice shook. Front? Where is the front? They strike everywhere. There is no front. The chamber erupted in chaos. And then a voice cut through the storm. Calm, cold. Admiral Serac of the Dominion. We have one option, he said. The Ark Protocol. The chamber froze. Whispers rippled like knives. The Ark Protocol was Forbidden's an ancient plan from the First Galactic War. If triggered, it would unite every fleet, every weapon, and every empire into one single force. It was the Council's last resort, the plan for the end of everything. The Dominion speaker stared at him. If we do this, he said slowly, it means genocide. Serac's voice was like stone. It means survival. The humans speak again before the Council could vote. The lights died. The chamber fell into black silence. And then the blue fire returned. The same figure appeared in the center of the hall. A human, tall and still, clad in black armor, eyes burning like twin stars. Behind him, shadows loomed, machines of death, half seen, their weapons glowing like suns. The voice spoke, calm as ever. You burn worlds. You break oaths. You speak of peace while building war. We offered you silence. You filled it with arrogance. The blue light grew brighter, searing every eye. Now you will watch your empires fall. And then the figure was gone, but something remained, a map burning in blue fire on the chamber floor. The core worlds of the Council, glowing like targets. And a countdown. 72 hours. The Exodus panic exploded across the galaxy. Ships fled the core. Civilizations abandoned their capitals. Entire species vanished into the rim, hoping the humans would not follow. But they did. The ghost fleet hunted like wolves. Any convoy that fled gone. Any colony that tried to hide gone. The humans had eyes everywhere, weapons everywhere, and they struck with terrifying precision. No one understood how. No one understood why. Until a message appeared across every network. A voice. Human. Cold. You forgot what you did. The forgotten truth centuries ago, in the First Galactic War, the Council had feared humanity's rise. They called humans dangerous, unpredictable, too stubborn to submit. So they burned Earth. They burned Mars. They burned every Terran world they could find. Billions died in fire. And those who survived fled into the dark, hunted like animals, while the Council called it peace. But the humans remembered. For 500 years, they remembered. And in silence, they built their vengeance. The burning of the core, the countdown. Ended. The Dominion homeworld saw the sky split open as the ghost fleet arrived. Thousands of ships, black as night, their hulls glowing with blue fire. The Dominion launched every weapon they had. Planetary cannons fired. Dreadnoughts roared. Shields blazed. None of it mattered. The first human weapon struck, a beam of white light that shattered the core. Shields like glass. Then came the Eclipse cannons, ripping through fleets in a storm of energy that turned ships to molten rain. The Dominion's proud war planet died screaming. Its oceans boiled. Its cities melted. Its mountains cracked like dry bones. When they asked. Fire cleared. There was no planet. Only silence. The ghost fleet reveals itself. And then the rest of the ghost fleet came. They poured out of the void like a tide, thousands of ships. Some as big as moons. Others like black blades slicing through. Space. Their weapons burned brighter than suns. Their engines tore holes in reality. At the center of the armada sailed the Infinity, its hull gleaming like a god of war, its voice echoing across the stars. Phase 3 begins. The galaxy trembled. The Council had one choice left: surrender. Or die. The hook for Part 6 far beyond the rim. Hidden in the black void, the humans prepared their final weapon. Project Eclipse, a superweapon that could erase entire constellations from existence. The galaxy was burning. Stars died in the wake of the ghost fleet. Worlds cracked open like eggs. Empires that had ruled for millennia fell in days. And still, the humans did not stop. The Council's strongest fleets were gone. Their shipyards were ash. Their armies were whispers of ghosts. And yet, they clung to hope that the Ark Protocol could save them. But the humans had already moved beyond hope. The Ark Protocol, activated. The Citadel star shook as the Ark Protocol came online. The Council had united every remaining ship. From every empire a force of 40,000 warships. Dominion dreadnoughts, Fall-Core war cruisers, Zainari hive carriers, all standing in a single armada. This was the greatest fleet in history. The last shield against extinction. Admiral Sarek stood on the bridge of the Dominion flagship, his scales glistening in the cold light. His voice roared across the command network. This is our stand. If we fall, the galaxy falls. The fleets, aligned into massive formations, weapons primed, shields glowing like suns. Trillions watched the live feed across the remaining colonies, praying to gods that had never answered before. And then space tore open. The arrival of death. The void cracked like glass. Blue fire spilled across the stars as reality twisted and split. And through the wound in space came the ghost fleet. First came the Infinity reborn, larger, its hull burning with energy that made suns dim. Then came the others, thousands of ships, black as night, some the size of moons, others shaped like blades, towers, and titans that bent gravity around them, and behind them something else. A shadow so vast it blotted out the stars. The humans had brought Project Eclipse. The Council fleet trembled. Sensors screamed as the machine appeared, a weapon the size of a small moon, its core burning with blue fire, so bright it turned darkness into day. Admiral Sarek stared at it and whispered, "Gods help us." The battle of all battles. The Council fired first. 40,000 ships unleashed hell. The void turned white with energy beams, missiles, and plasma storms. The Ghost Fleet vanished in the blaze. For 1 second, the galaxy dared to hope. Then the fire cleared. The humans were still there. Shields bending reality. Armor glowing like molten suns. Not a single ship destroyed. And then the humans fired. The first eclipse. Cannon lit up the dark, a beam of white fire that sliced through 1,000 ships in one breath. The Dominion flagship melted in an instant. Thal core carriers shattered. Like glass. Zenari hive ships exploded in silence. The Council's proud armada died in minutes. Admiral Sarek screamed as his ship split apart. The Thal core warlord burned in a storm of fire. The Zenari Queen's hive cracked open and vanished in the void. The greatest fleet in history. The last hope of the galaxy was gone. Project Eclipse fires, and then the weapon moved. Project Eclipse turned its core toward the Citadel Star, heart of the Council, the last sanctuary, the station where every leader had fled. On the command deck of the Infinity, a human officer spoke in a voice as cold as steel. Target locked. The captain stepped forward, his eyes burning like blue fire. Erase them. The weapon roared. A beam of energy ripped through the void, tearing reality apart. It struck the Citadel Star, and for one brief moment, the entire galaxy lit up like a second sun. When the light faded, there was nothing. No station, no leaders, no council. Only dust. The galaxy on its knees, silence fell across the stars. No fleets remained. No armies stood. The great empires of the galaxy were ash. The Ghost Fleet spread across the sectors, finishing what it had started. Worlds burned. Colonies died. The names of old empires vanished from history like smoke in the wind. And then, as quickly as it began, it stopped. The humans did not conquer. They did not take thrones or crowns. They did not rebuild what they had destroyed. They simply left. The last transmission across the remaining worlds, every screen flickered to life. A final message appeared. The same figure as before, tall, armored, eyes glowing like stars. Behind him, the Infinity burned like a god of war. The voice spoke, calm as ever. 5 centuries ago, you erased our world. You hunted us. You called it peace. We gave you silence. You mistook it for weakness. The figure paused. His eyes burned brighter. Now, you understand? The screen turned black. 3 words appeared in cold white letters. We are done. And then silence forever. Epilogue. The empty stars 1,000 years later. Explorers from newborn civilizations searched the ruins of the old galaxy. They found shattered worlds, burned systems, empty sectors where no life stirred. And sometimes, in the dark between stars, they saw shadows vast, silent,